Am I the asshole for calling out friends after they evicted me? Story starts early last year. Some friends and I decided to move in together after a break-up with my ex-girlfriend. After months of looking for somewhere that would rent to the four of us, two of my male friends decided that the best course of action was for them to buy a house and for the remaining two of us to rent. I say rent, but there was no contract or any official documents at all, and split the bills. I also have two cats which they were all well acquainted with at this point, and at the time it was insinuated that I would probably stay there a year or two max. They gave me a number for rent and bills and I paid on time every month. Later I found out I was paying above market rates for a single room, but at the time I had no issues. Fast forward 6 months, without any kind of indication at all that there were problems or issues with us all living together, I was given 2 months to leave because they needed to turn my room into an office and apparently there was no space in the house for 4 of us to live there. Then a few weeks later I was served an official notice asking me pay for a new sofa due to some scratching on an easily replaceable part and cleaning of a rug that my cat has vomited on a few times over the course of the 6-month tenancy, which I cleaned up every time using enzyme cleaner. I was quite angry seeing the notice, since up until this point it had all been a verbal agreement between mates. While I had every intention of paying for cleaning services, seeing it issued to me as a PDF rather than just coming down the stairs to speak to me really ticked me off. Not to mention I was already annoyed that they expected me to find a decent place to live with cats in such a short space of time. Landlords in UK are notorious for not allowing pets. In my anger I took to the group chat and called them out for being shit friends and generally awful people. But they claimed that they had not wronged me in the slightest, and because they considered me a lodger, I had no protection to stop them kicking me to the streets. Since this point I've removed them from pretty much everything and have avoided speaking to them while I move out. Am I the arsehole here? Edit decided to add some more information since I think I neglected to mention some stuff. The third housemate is partners with one of the owners, which explains why they weren't evicted. I mentioned it above but I am going to reiterate it. I have no issues paying for the sofa, rug, to the point where I've mentioned it in passing a long time ago, so it should have been known that it was a non-issue. I had warned them prior to moving in that there would be some mess with cats. As any pet owner will know, they are sentient and sometimes will do what they want, and it takes some conditioning to stop them doing something. They did stop attacking the corner of the sofa, which by the way comes off and is replaceable, but unfortunately too late too little apparently. Any issues they had with me or the cats were not communicated in the slightest. The weekend prior to the eviction, we were all laughing together having a board game night. Not only that they were very excited to be living with cats when we first moved in and played with them a lot prior to the eviction. The full reason they gave me to move out is that they didn't realize that they didn't have enough room for them all to work from home. At the moment they each have a bedroom and they have 2 offices for 3 of them, so it basically comes down to them wanting an office each. I'll keep updating as and when I remember more stuff I left out. As you can imagine I am still pretty much reeling from this whole situation and effectively losing people I would have considered my best friends, so some stuff is slipping through the cracks. Sorry for rubbish formatting. Not the asshole, I think your feelings of betrayal are totally justified. A real friend would have approached you long before printing up a PDF, considering you never had any formal living agreement in writing, prior to the notice. I think you should keep these friends at a distance when you move out, as I don't believe they think very highly of you. Of course not the asshole. Also, if this isn't a formal tenancy, do they register, declare, file? Whatever the verb is, I don't know, the income from the rent. You could get them in trouble if you have bank statements. Not the asshole, though possibly ESH depending on the details of your time there. More important than the asshole question is what you, and they, do now. If they want to treat you as a formal lodger, not an informal friend, then you have certain rights as well as responsibilities. I do not know UK law, but it would surprise me if they did not have to declare or pay any taxes on the rental income they were getting from you. Tenants also typically at most forfeit a security deposit, not have ad hoc bills to replace things. Pressing them on either point, you would most likely win, but the friendship will also likely be over, if it is not already. This may be fine with you and or them. You wouldn't be the asshole if you didn't pay for what they're claiming senior, just a lodger with no rights. Same goes for talking to ACAS or someone who can help you going legal and protecting your rights. They're not treating you like a friend, you don't owe them shit. Hey, these people don't seem like they're your friends. Info. Can you go into the _insinuation_ of your 1-2 year stay? Have any other problems arisen during your stay? I don't think the verbal agreement is the issue. It sounds like there's some rift between you if they're serving you papers instead of asking you first. Honestly, sounds sucky, but it also feels like there is a ton of information missing. You don't mention the dynamics in the house over those months at all. Why? Info: why did they evict you? What is their side of the story? You were good friends and were suddenly kicked out of the blue. It's possible they were 100% as, but unlikely. Info: have they stated in the group chat you're a lodger? Have you considered contacting Citizens Advice? You can call them and arrange an appointment over the phone or face-to-face and is usually quite quick. They know the ins and outs of all this kind of thing and are well worth a chat. They will let you know your legal rights and correspond on your behalf if needed. If they view you as a lodger, you have certain rights due to COVID. I have a feeling a lot of information is being left out here. Am I the asshole for making my daughter's cheer team lose? So my daughter, 10F, is a very gifted cheerleader. She can do skills meant for much older girls. She's a flyer at our local gymnastics gym. She also have a very severe medical condition. I've told her coach that if she gets sick or faints during practice she has to call me. Her coach has the mindset that kids getting sick or passing out just means they've worked hard and isn't a big deal. I disagree, but I thought she understood that it isn't the same for my daughter. Also, they have a big meet coming up and my daughter is the main flyer in all the stunts and does a lot of things none of the other kids can do. Well, last week she worked really hard at practice and threw up. Rather than calling me, her coach just told her to get some water and come back. She told me what happened when I picked her up and I was mad. I immediately took her to the local children's hospital and luckily she was fine. I called her coach, who basically told me she has a lot of kids and can't cater to all their individual needs and that my daughter didn't seem sick, so it wasn't a big deal. I was really upset that she didn't care at all. I might have forgiven her if it was just a mistake and she forgot, but this could have put my daughter in real danger and the coach didn't show any signs of remorse for her actions or willingness to call me next time. So I spoke with my daughter and we decided to try and see if there were any other cheer teams in the area. She isn't close with a lot of the girls there as most are older than her, so she didn't mind moving gyms. There was a team looking for a flyer, so she tried out and made it. I called the coach and said she quit the team. Her coach flipped out and said they needed her for the meet. I basically said she should have thought about that before she decided not to call me. She told me all about how she would have to change most the routine because the other girls couldn't do as much as my daughter. She says this is basically an automatic lose because they have barely any time to prepare. I again said I didn't care. I told the situation to my sister and she thinks I'm partly the asshole for pulling her out a week and a half before the competition. She thinks we should have just waited until the competition was over before leaving. But the week before the competition they have practice every day for 6 hours and I didn't feel that after what happened I could trust the coach with my daughter and I am not able to stay in the lobby the entire time. I feel bad for the other girls because they likely won't be as good with not much time to prep before the competition, but I don't necessarily regret my decision. The asshole. Should I have just waited to pull her out or given the coach the benefit of the doubt? Edit to clear up a few things. 1. She does not cheer 6 hours a day every day usually. Just the week leading up to competitions and her school ended 2 weeks ago, so she isn't missing any school. 2. I didn't take her into the I called her doctor at the hospital and asked if we could come and get her checked out to make sure she was okay. 3. I don't like to say the name of her condition, but I'll just say that it's a severe form of heterotaxia which mainly affects her heart and kidneys. It's not just a common childhood disease like asthma or T1D. It doesn't affect her mobility, and as long as she is careful and monitored by doctors she is fine to cheer. 4. My husband and I both work, so we can't really stay there during all her practices. My husband usually drops her off and I pick her up on my way home from work. Her gym is very close to my husband's office, so if anything happens he would be very close by. 5. Her new team isn't going to the same competition, so she has more time to prepare. Not the asshole, that coach is overworking those kids full stop, and that isn't healthy. If a kid's throwing up because of how hard they're being worked, that's a serious health threat, and not something your kid should be dealing with. Also, the coach saying things like, "She didn't seem sick," is moronic because she actually threw up. You didn't make the team lose. You got your kid out of a potentially hazardous and toxic team environment as soon as you became aware of it. Not the asshole. But maybe consider getting your daughter a phone for emergencies so she'll be able to advocate for herself should something like this ever happen again. Doesn't have to be a nice one, just one that she can call you on. I called her coach, who basically told me she has a lot of kids and can't cater to all their individual needs, and that my daughter didn't seem sick, so it wasn't a big deal. If she can't do that very basic thing, I don't think she should be coaching. But the week before the competition they have practice every day for 6 hours, and I didn't feel that after what happened I could trust the coach with my daughter, and I am not able to stay in the lobby the entire time. Also, wow, 6 hours a day? For 10-year-olds? This definitely seems overkill. Even if your daughter didn't have a chronic illness, that doesn't seem all that responsible. You did the right thing for your kid. Keeping your child safe and healthy is paramount. Not the asshole. Info. I don't get it, she has a very serious medical condition, but she's also the flyer on the cheerleading team. How does this work? Also, since your daughter knows throwing up is a very serious symptom, why didn't she sit out the rest of the practice or call you? Did the coach force her to continue against her will? If so, that coach is way out of control and other parents should be made aware. You are the asshole. Your daughter has a medical condition that overexertion could cause her harm, and you put her in a sport that has 6-hour practices? What are you thinking? Not the asshole. The coach purposefully ignored your daughter's medical condition because of laziness or self-righteousness. Having your child with that coach a second longer would have further put her in legitimate life-threatening danger. The coach made their own bed. Not the asshole. Regardless of her medical condition, that coach should not be overworking children, especially to the point that they get sick or passed out. That is child abuse. It makes it worse that she has a medical condition because it sounds like she could have killed her. You need to make sure that your daughter is safe, as that is your duty as a parent. She is not safe with that coach whatsoever. Coach sucks. But everyone knows gymnastics is one of the worst and most intense sports you can get a child into. I'm not hating on it, but they expect a ton. If your child already has issues needing to go to a doctor from puking or fainting, they should not be in something so rigorous. Would I be the asshole for reporting a coworker for a safety issue, while also having my own agenda? I work in long-day care, and have been working in this center for 3 years. I work part-time, and on floats, but not from lack of trying. A new coworker started last year, and confided in me that she wouldn't take a room before I managed to get one, since I was constantly passed over having a permanent room. She also mentioned that she had had knee surgery a couple months back, which is still causing her issues. A couple of weeks ago, she was assigned to the room that I had been trying to work towards being in. She originally said she didn't want to be in the room, and would tell our returning director that I wanted the room, and to take her out. Weeks pass, and nothing happens. She is continually assigned to the room, while I am still floating. She snaps at the children, and doesn't get along with the other staff member in the room. Whenever I ask her if she needs time out, or wants to swap, she responds she is fine, and can do it. On Monday, her knee popped out of its socket. Before work on Tuesday it popped back in, but she was limping all day, and we swapped rooms to make it easier for her. Since then, the room leader, myself and some other staff have recommended she volunteer not to work in the room, because she has a risk of injuring herself further, and hurting the children too. She refused to admit there is a problem, even though she has mentioned she wears a bandage on her knee, ices it every night, and her doctor said for her to take time off when it hurts, which she does not. Today, myself, room leader and a worker in the room adjacent seriously hinted to her that she swap with me for the day. She kept refusing, and proceeded to work in the room. Her day didn't go bad, but she became frustrated, and yelled at the children. Here's where I could be the asshole. I want to organize a meeting with the director, and inform her of everything my coworker has told me about her condition. The room she's assigned it requires a lot of physical strength, and is very hard work, which she can't do with her injury. I feel she hasn't been truly honest with management, is ignoring medical advice from her doctor, and is downplaying her injury to keep her position in the room, which is a risk to both herself and the children. Would I be the asshole for reporting her, as while my reasons for reporting her are for the safety of the children, but also to kick her from the room because she was dishonest? Edit. More context. She's in her late 20s, it was a knee surgery, and her knee regularly pops out. She mentions it hurts when the weather is bad, which is always where I live. She's mentioned her doctor has told her to take time off when it hurts, and she shouldn't really be working until 8 months after, it's 6 months, and she's been working since. Edit 2. Already, thank you for all these comments. It's actually been really calming to read them all, and is giving me more perspective. I will try to respond to as many as I can, but I may also pass out since it is quite late for me. Not the asshole. The main point to be taken from all of this is that she's taking her pain and frustration out on the children by yelling at them. That's not okay. It doesn't matter at this point who works the room as long as the children aren't yelled at for things out of their control. Not the asshole. If you have legitimate concerns, you're fine. Your coworker will probably know you have other motivations as well, but you're kind of obligated to say something if it's a safety concern. Probably a better idea to talk to the room leader more candidly about your plan first though. Not the asshole, but be careful. I agree that she should be taking responsibility for her health and the children's safety by stepping down from covering that room. Although because it's a medical condition it may be a little bit of a stickier situation. Disclosing medical information without consent always concerns me personally. You have to do what you think is right for the safety of the children as that is your job. Not the asshole. Even if you have ulterior motives, she shouldn't be in the room if she can't handle it, physically or otherwise. And yelling at the kids is never acceptable. Not the asshole. Please tell the director. My 2 toddlers go to daycare and if I knew the teachers were snapping at them or worse, could possibly drop and injure them, I'd be livid. They need to know before someone gets injured. I'd bet money the kids are noticing the snapping and modeling themselves after her behavior too. A little bit of you are the asshole because your motives are not altruistic. You want to report her because you want the room. This is going to be seen as throwing a coworker under the bus in order to benefit you. If you want to not be the asshole, report her and advise that you will back out of the room. What she said previously about not taking a room before you doesn't matter. She was likely assigned that spot by the director for whatever reason. You're not entitled to get a position before anyone else. The thing I find odd is the very first reason you list for going to the director is because of her condition. Actually, nowhere in that paragraph of why you want to go to the director is anything about her snapping, yelling at the kids. Which makes me feel like you are the asshole. She originally said she didn't want to be in the room, and would tell our returning director that I wanted the room, and to take her out. Did she ever talk to the director? Am I the asshole for planting a scary note for a child to find? I live across the road from a primary school. Lately a child has been walking past my house at the end of each school day and looking through my mailbox and sometimes taking my mail. There is video of this coming from my security cameras. I'd say they are around 8 years old. They are accompanied by an adult who is not doing anything to stop this behavior, and my neighbors have also had issues with mail going missing. I'm fed up, so I took screenshots of one of the videos that shows the child taking things from my letterbox and printed them off. Sealed them in an envelope with a note saying that the police are following them, and that they are going to take them to jail if they keep stealing mail. Sealed it up with a stamp. Left it in my mailbox and right as school time ended, I watched from my phone at work as the child went into my mailbox and removed the letter. Not even 10 minutes later, my Ring camera is going crazy and the mother of the child is banging down my door. I answer it remotely, and basically tell her that if she can't control her kid, then she can't get pissed off when other people take things into their own hands. She was very unhappy, and the kid was howling in the background distressed that they were going to jail. The mother demanded I tell the kid that the police won't be coming for them, but I told her that maybe it was time for her to step up as a parent and explain why this is happening. I finished off with a warning that if she dares to try anything, I have a clear image of her face and I have security cameras everywhere. My colleague overheard me speaking to her over the Ring camera and after I hung up, he asked what happened. I told him everything and he was quite disapproving and says that kids are hard to control so of course they do crap like this. But this has been a constant thing spanning over the last month. But at the same time, I'm not a parent so I have no idea how hard it is to keep track of a kid. Editing because it's easier than replying to all the comments asking. The police know, as does the school. Neither have done anything to stop this. Another edit, answering questions. Why didn't you confront the mother? I don't work from home. Every time this has happened I've been in my office and I'm not about to take an afternoon off from my job to sit on my porch yelling at people to get off my lawn. Call the police? Neighbors have filed police reports and nothing has been done. However, I have now submitted a report online to the AFP. Tell the school? They want nothing to do with it and told me once kids are released to parents at the end of day, it is not their problem anymore. Blah blah blah. Why all the security cameras? A couple comments in here, and more comments about it in another thread about this post. I'm an Aboriginal woman who lives alone in a predominantly white suburb with a lot of racist people around and have been harassed before. There is also a lot of crime in my area. You're hilarious. I know. Not the asshole. I laughed a bit lol. Stealing mail is no joke, especially nowadays where people get medicine in the mail. Better to learn now before police actually get involved. Not the asshole. Kids are certainly not that hard to control. Stealing mail is a crime. I'm shocked the parent let it go on for this long. Not the asshole. It's not even like you gave the kid the letter in their hand. They literally stole it from your mailbox. Not the asshole. That's hilarious. Excellent approach. The mother dared to try and confront you with the letter that her kid stole? The letter that was in your letterbox? Damn. The balls on that woman. After that, I would report the kid to the police, to the mail carrier in your country, and to the school. Schools hate it when kids mess up while wearing their uniform. I'm father to 2 children around that age. If one of them dared to try some Sichuan tea like that, I'd ground them for a month and make them apologize to you and have them offer to mow your lawn or something in reparations. NTA. I'm a postal worker and mail theft is a really serious crime, like an up to 5 years in federal jail and fines of up to $250,000 serious crime. Edit. For clarification, are they removing the mail and taking it with them, or are they just opening it and leaving it opened in the mailbox? Not the asshole. It's literally a federal offense. If it keeps happening, you absolutely should go to the police. It is not hard to stop a kid from taking mail out of a mailbox. Not the asshole. Had he not stolen your mail, he wouldn't have read the contents and scared himself. Not the asshole, and pretty damned funny. Instead of being outraged, the mom should be excruciatingly embarrassed.